Well, hello everybody. I'm just floored right now. I'm so honored and humbled to be virtually sitting between two goddesses and stewards of healing with you all. And wherever you're in the world watching, just welcome. This is our webinar for March on taking my power back in regards to the bioenergetic basic tools to take your power back. And we're really partnering this month with Dr. Patti. She's the guest, one of the guests here on tonight's panel. But as you all know, our mission here at Premier Research Labs is to empower access to solutions in global healing modalities to really give you your fullest potential at life. And whether you're a physician or a practitioner on your own healing journey, or you're stewarding the journey of others through that, our goal with tonight's content is to help you kind of maybe broaden your horizons and take on what is, I think, maybe at some level, some physicians, and Dr. Patti, maybe you can share your story on this, the energetic healing principles, which really are the foundational principles for life itself. And so tonight we're going to be diving into bioenergetics, and I honestly couldn't think of two better individuals than Dr. Patti and our very own chairwoman and president, Dr. Linda Forbes, which if you haven't heard Dr. Forbes talk, well, you are just going to be blown away tonight with her wisdom. And she's really leading the way and innovating around bioenergetic tools and modalities and solutions. And so what we'll be doing tonight is we're having a little bit more of an informal conversation. We do have some slides. We will go through some data. But I really wanted to bring on these thought leaders to share their insights, share their wisdom, and really give you take-home solutions so that you can implement them the very next day in your practice, in your homes, in your clients' homes, and beyond. And so I'm so excited for tonight. Please know that we are recording this, but we are taking Q&A. So if you have questions from tonight's session, please send them our way. You can send them directly to my email at wmarsh@prlabs.com, or reach out to your account executive. They'll get them back to us and we'll get you back those answers so that you can just continue to grow your awareness and your own growth and your kind of strategies that you're using with your clients. So with that being said, I want to kind of start off the conversation tonight with one simple question with Dr. Patti. And this is where, in your Take Your Power Back initiative, you talk so frequently around how energy is everything and everything is energy. And this is a concept that might be foreign or might seem a little esoteric to some. Talk to us about your journey with bioenergetics and how, what is behind this statement that's so impactful.
Well, thank you for the question. I first want to just thank you for inviting me to talk, and especially because my main teacher in this has been Dr. Forbes. So she's the genius behind a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about. So I'm always so grateful to her, and also Dr. Marshall, who was my other mentor. And actually, the bioenergetics of Premier Research Lab did save my life in 2012 when I was dying of a parasite. So this is really dear to my heart to speak about this topic. Um, but I know that this particular question that you're asking me about, uh, well, let me see if I can get to a slide presentation. Um, what you're asking me about energy is really a statement that people make all the time, and you wonder what that really means. But if you look deeper, you can really understand that everything is connected to everything. And I think it was John Muir who said that when you try to pick anything from the puzzle and pick it apart, you find that it's connected to everything else, right? So everything connects to everything. And for example, this is me sitting on Melbourne Beach, and from getting the sun rise through my eyes and feeling the structure of the water and grounding into the grounding of the earth, you can feel the energy, but what is it really about? And one of the things I always wondered about is whether or not we humans can actually make photosynthesis, whether we can make energy from the sun. And I started to really delve into the data, and I never really found anything until a few years ago when I was looking at the physics literature. My father's a physicist, so I had to delve into that literature too, and realized that sunlight actually can induce clathrate structure in water. It creates clathrate crystals, and these crystals actually hold an energy by charge separation. And this charge separation is much more effective if there's a hydrophilic molecule in the middle. And our most important hydrophilic molecule happens to be melanin. So it's kind of like a superchlorophyll, and it creates charge separation of the water molecules, which means, yes, we are really like plants. So that simple thing of getting the sunlight, we have understood that almost 1/3 of the energy in the body can be produced by absorbing the electromagnetic fields of the earth, of the sun. So it's not a minor thing, it's very powerful. And then when you take it forward to some of the mechanisms that we know, um, the human body emits a very strong infrared radiation, all the way up to 100 watts. And it even emits light in every wavelength, much more active. The peak of that is in the far infrared range. So not only can we absorb light and use it for energy, but we also give off light all the way from a small little mitochondrial cell, which is able to collect and give off biophoton energy, to the frequency of love, to the frequency and the energies that are shared from one heart to the other, even before we ever open our mouth to speak. We're already communicating through this energetic field that's everywhere. The turtles, the birds, the bees, they all use the geomagnetic lines of the earth to navigate themselves. So all of a sudden you start to get the picture that there's a field going on everywhere. The trees, they communicate with each other and also with humans. And when I first saw this in Avatar with that big bioluminescent tree, I remember thinking, oh my God, that's so cool. But many years later, almost a decade later, um, we have some proof of it. So 50 years ago, Dr. Saxton at Yale actually documented the energy fields in this book called The Fields of Life, and he published that, talking about how the energy field of the trees communicates with each other. But 10 years ago, Heart Math Institute actually studied and published their studies about how trees share an energy field with humans and with other trees, which also, of course, means that humans share the energy field too. And another example of this is when you're in the forest, and that happens to be me in the middle of a very giant redwood. But forest bathing increases natural killer cell activity, and it decreases cortisol and blood pressure. And there's even very good data now showing that there's a substance called phytocyanides, which are actually given off into the air from the trees that stimulate this natural killer cell activity. So there's all kinds of invisible stuff that's going on around us, even to the sunlight being captured in the ionosphere and showing us a rainbow of light. Um, and we always used to think that space was empty, but the Cassini mission has shown that space is anything but empty. It's an ionized plasma that actually has a DNA-like filament of electromagnetic current that is connecting everything from the very smallest energetic parts of an atom all the way to the universe and the metaverse and the multiverse. So we're really actually finding that even what we thought was empty is not actually empty. Um, so that is uh, that is my answer to why I say that, and why we know that everything is energy, and energy is everything, all the way from the very smallest atom, all the way to the ends of the universe and the metaverse and everywhere else. We find it in every corner, and we know that every little thing that changes affects every little thing else.
It's I just love that there's so many little moments of enlightenment through scattered and the information you just shared. And we could take a deep dive into every aspect of what you just shared in regards to this energetic field that we're all a part of and how it manifests in our reality, right? And as in preparation for this conversation, we wanted to really help people first understand we're connected to this field, right? And the aspects and how they can see that. But the next most important thing is, well, if we're all interconnected to this field, this bioenergetic field, and it's manifesting around us, what happens when it's disrupted by artificial signals, and how does that manifest, right? Because tonight's lecture is about the bioenergetic tools to take your power back, right? So, how can it get disrupted? And what manifests typically when you see a disruption in the bioenergetic field of a client or in
Yeah.
yourself, even,
So,
right?
I mean, in ourselves, like what actually
Yeah.
happens is what you're asking. And I'm showing you the nice thing about this particular subject is that at this point, we actually have some data documenting what happens when the invisible energies are not where they need to be. So they can, it's like when the energies are in a good place, you're in a good place. And when they're not in a good place, you're not in such a good place, right? I think that's one of Dr. Forbes saying, and I'm copying her. But this is under a microscope. And even if you look way to the right, after 45 seconds, you start to see a little bit of a change, but you take it to the 2 minute mark, and this is at 1 foot. This is a exposure to smart meter. And you can start to see the cells start to crumple up and stick together. And also, people start to have symptoms from this. So that's why I'm so excited for Dr. Forbes to talk about how we're going to correct a smart meter. 2 hours of cell phone radiation in a rat creates pathophysiological changes in the brain of the rat. American Academy of Pediatrics in 2016 finally came out and said children should not be near cell phones because this is the measurable activity of a 5-year-old child and the energy from the phone going all the way across the brain to an adult. It's a significant difference. Not that adults have no effect, but there's a specific absorption rate at different depths, which is much, much higher in a 5-year-old child. Even Harvard has started to document that blue light has a dark side. And they have lots of studies showing that blue light after sundown suppresses melatonin, REM, mitochondrial damage, inflammatory markers, circadian rhythm, lots of different things. And then you get to the electromagnetic spectrum, and you start to realize that every single thing that you plug in to the wall, especially with an AC current, is messing you up. And this is another reason why I'm so excited about what Dr. Forbes is going to show us. So that this current is very disruptive to cellular structure. And I was shocked when I started looking and realized that the blender is one of the absolute worst things that you can ever be near. And I used to sit my little grandchild on the kitchen counter and have her put bananas into the blender for a smoothie. And when I read that literature, I was like, forget that. So it turns out that not only do we emit the entire electromagnetic spectrum, but we are also affected in a negative way by everything from low to high frequencies. And it's all invisible. So um, if we increase our exposure to sunlight, we actually can mitigate some of that. But it turns out that sunlight is really critical, especially to reset the environmental circadian rhythm. Any mismatch in that internal clock and the external environment causes disease. So this question of early to bed, early to rise makes us healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's a real thing. there was actually a study. Those three guys that I just showed you won the Nobel Prize for proving that the circadian rhythm affects your health. And luckily, soon after that came this study showing that if you look at the sun for 7 days and you restore your rhythm for 7 days in a row, you actually restore the circadian rhythm. And that happens to be a picture that I took while I was restoring my circadian rhythm. So some people talk about protection of your eyes with blue light glasses, or turning your phone into a blue light thing, or just forgetting about using devices after sunset. It becomes so hard, right? But that at least covers some of the data around what a disrupted energy field can do to the brain of a child, to the blood cells, to the oxygenation. Um, and I could actually cover that for another couple of hours with the amount of data there is. But for
There's
this, I think you get the point.
the endless tangents that we could go on here, and we're trying to keep it concise for our audience tonight and viewers, but I can promise we'll be going probably down those tangents in the future. Um, this is just one kind of note and reflection that comes up. We here at Premier have so frequently we talk about cellular resonance, right? And the coherence of waveform propagation and cellular signaling in the body. And when we're talking about disruptions here in the field, we're talking about impacting the cellular mechanisms and the communication of each cell to cell interaction, right? That's the biological manifestation of what happens there. And just like with that picture you showed of the cells and the clumping and the breaking down of the membranes, I mean, that's a very acute degradation of the body. And there's more that we could go into there. But with all that being said, how can we start to restore coherence? And as you have the slide already up here, how can we correct the field? And I know we're getting really close to you, Dr. Forbes, but Dr. Patti, you want to share kind of maybe some teasers before we jump into Dr. Forbes's wisdom here?
The
Is it is
advanced
it is it
stuff.
like a horse I'm getting ready to be let out of the chute?
Yeah.
You have the advanced stuff, but when you just spoke about Premier Research Lab, it's really important to realize that, we started with everything is energy and energy is everything. And then what happens when it's disrupted?
Mhm.
And we are very clear that everything we put in our mouth, or on our skin or our bodies, or any music we get near, anything, a supplement, is either going to be medicine or poison. It's either going to correct the energetic field or it's going to disrupt it. And most supplements that are on the market, and I am not your employee, so I can say this, but most supplements on the market actually energetically test very poorly. So it's important to realize that the supplements that, because we test all our supplements energetically when we're trying to use PRL supplements, even in the patients, and the PRL products test well. So that means that it's going to help your energetic field instead of the other way around, which is very often the case. So, yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. But yes, you've asked me the question about what methods have been used to correct the field. And I'm going to talk about some basic things and basic sort of science stuff, and then hand it over to Dr. Forbes to talk about the more advanced stuff that they've developed to transform the field. In every culture and in every medical tradition, so just a little history about energy medicine. Healing was accomplished by moving energy. And this is by a Nobel Prize winner actually said this. Everything from laying of hands, which was described in many ancient texts, to the human chakra system, which we don't necessarily have exact proof of, but it's the basis of many different types of medicine, meridians in China and Egypt and Greece, um, Vastu and Feng Shui, which are part of the pictures of and ancient knowledge of how the geomagnetic fields of the earth, which are constantly shifting right now, are affecting your body and your health and your life and your outcome and your emotions and everything else, right? And we know that all of these ancient cultures used magnetite, and magnetite is a magnetic um, force that is actually known to increase blood flow. And so magnets can be used well to increase blood flow, and they can also be used the other way to make, anything that's energetic can work in either direction, depending upon how you use it. And I'm astounded to see that in 1800s, electrotherapy devices were thriving. And even in Sears and Roebuck's catalog in the 1900s, they had electric soles and rings for rheumatism and, electric belts. And I just think it's really interesting that it goes all the way back to the knowledge that electricity and electrical moving energy was part of the picture of healing. However, electrotherapy and those kind of things actually became excluded as medical methods in the early 1900s. And I remember in the 70s when I saw um, McCoy with his tricorder, for some reason in my heart, I knew that this was going to happen in my lifetime. And it has. I'm watching everything that's going on, and I believe that you can diagnose and treat in one go, but we're still developing this. But even in modern science, we've been using all kinds of different methods to measure the field. We are using this technology and have been using it for decades now to diagnose and even to treat when you look at laser and so on. And we also have proof of these energy fields through, photography, through magnetic fields detected in the squid detectors at MIT, which shield all the other radiation, and they've been able to document the electromagnetic field around the human body that exudes quite far from the human body. And they have discovered that the heart is actually more powerful than the brain. The heart has about 100,000 times stronger electrical and 5,000 times stronger magnetic than the brain. And the heart sends 9 messages to the brain for every 1 message that comes to the heart. So, so I think it's something that we, you know, things that have been developed to diagnose. So when we ask ourselves what methods have been used in medicine, some of them are diagnostics. And as you can see, many of those diagnostics are absolutely energetics. But there's also some daily habits that are very simple that we can use for our biofield corrections. And I have picked from many. So I'm just going to go over like 3 or 4 that I think are really basic and useful. So one of them is grounding, and grounding for 30 minutes. Um, Even if you ground for 2 minutes, you've already changed the autonomic nervous system and skin conductors. But I'm suggesting grounding for 30 minutes as one step because the natural DC electrical current that is permeating our planet, plants, animals, humans, that flows continuously. And that particular current and beat, which the earth does have a beat, which is resonating with the same frequencies as the heart and the brain. So we are not individual beings on this that happen to live on this earth. We are symbiotic. We live in a way that the energetic dependence is bidirectional. And when NASA put astronauts up in space and didn't have a Schumann resonance device around the capsule, the astronauts' health declined very quickly. So this particular wave, the Schumann wave, there's several different ones that are at a height, but 7.83 is one of them, which actually resonates with the one in the heart. And that's because there's the earth acts as a conductive body, and it actually absorbs free electrons from the earth. Sorry, the body acts as a conductive body and absorbs free electrons from the earth. So if you do not ground yourself every day, you could carry as high as 380 millivolts of charge on your body, right? So once you absorb the electrons, they actually act like antioxidants. And there's many studies showing that grounding reduces inflammation and blood viscosity, pain and stress, and that the skin conductance is altered within 2 seconds of grounding. And Dr. Sinatra was also one of my mentors who did most of the studying here. But this is again a dark field microscope just showing the difference between grounded blood cells, and on the left is, of course, the ones that are clumping and that are not grounded. So this is, this live blood analysis is kind of cool because as soon as you stick your finger and put it on the microscope, you can see immediately what's going on while it's live. But this is an 8-month non-healing wound. After 2 weeks of 30 minutes of daily grounding, you can see it totally heals. I mean, it's a very underestimated tool. And on the Tour de France, this is an electrical pads giving a grounding energy. And in 2 days, this person was able to compete in the Tour de France, and he actually won. But when we look at hyperthermia images, there's a 50% reduction in pain and inflammation with 30 minutes of grounding. And that's the reason why I talk about 30 minutes of grounding as one daily habit that you should do. But even if you can do 2 minutes of grounding, do it. Okay. So the second one is to create a joy field. And most of the data shows that if you create an energetic joy field for 5 minutes twice a day, 3 to 5 minutes, you actually correct the body's energetics for hours and hours after the exercise. And it becomes really important when you realize that the joy field means the electromagnetic forces of the earth, of the heart, that are affecting every cell in your body is being altered in those 5 minutes and then for many hours after. So let's look at what the science behind that is. We know that to change an atom or to change any physical thing, you have to change the energy the atom lives in. It's kind of like what we were talking about with supplements, right? In other words, to change the physical world or the stuff, you have to change the energy field that the stuff is in. And this field is made of electrical energy and magnetic energy. So if you change the electrical field, you change the atom. That's known as the Stark effect. If you change the magnetic field, you change the atom. That's the Zeeman effect. And what is the most powerful, strongest producer of electrical field and magnetic field in the human body? It's the heart. So the strongest thing that we have that can change the way that our atoms are structured is the heart rate variability that comes from the heart. And that heart field interacts with and is affected by the trees, the animals, the plants, the earth, and even other human beings. Very, very good data showing that if you're in a bad mood and your heart rate variability is in the bad place, you can convert a whole room of people. And if you're in a good place, you can easily convert a whole room of people. So the field is controllable because it's affected by your emotions and it's represented by the heart rate variability. So there's quite a difference between the performance when you're angry, frustrated, worried, irritable, and the opposite, which is the blue line. And it's possible to get from a red line to a blue line in 30 seconds by creating a virtual reality of something that just gives you a smile in your heart, right? And if I have time, I will do that at the very end of this talk after Dr. Forbes. So this shift into coherence is not only affects the heart, but it affects the brain because the heart controls the brain when it comes to this. And there's many studies showing improvement in memory and focus and faster reaction times, higher test scores by almost 30%. And many colleges around the United States are using this shift. So the second habit that I feel is the most important habit to change the energetics of our body is to shift into a coherent rhythm, because it also affects the whole world, because it interacts with that great field we talked about. Do you have any questions about that? And then I have the third one.
It truthfully, it's just a reflection in my own journey, and maybe it echoes maybe your own, Dr. Patty, and people that are listening. But as I've come to embrace my joy field and learn to breathe into my own heart's coherence, you can feel that radiate out into others, and it's the beauty of being aligned, right? And then you seem to the magic of the field around you starts to open up, if that makes any sense. So anyway, it just makes me smile because
Yeah, well, it's a synchrony, right? And we know that, the earth, the people on the planet are interacting with the planet, the plants, and each other in a very powerful way. And we are one organism, if you will,
Mhm.
So yeah, it does put a smile on your face. So last but not least, the effect of sound on your cells. So you may have seen some of these images. But really, sound creates and changes structure. I just wanted to show that because it's really important to realize that if sound changes structure and structure determines function, which I'm going to show you right now, the function of everything is determined by the frequency and the vibration, and the loudest thing in your body is the beating of the heart. If you put a Doppler inside the body, the only thing you will hear in any part of the body is the beating of the heart. So that all of a sudden makes a lot of sense to how that heart rate variability changes makes a difference. Because why do I say structure determines function? As we know, if you take carbon, diamond, graphite, and coal are all made of carbon. But the difference is in the structure. And that structure changes something from very soft to very hard. And same thing happens with glass and quartz. They're both silicon dioxide, but the structure is different. So the function is different. And that is why it's so important to pay attention to our water. So water structure carries information. So it determines function and produces energy. And so the 70% of our body is water. So the third and the last thing that I suggest is that we really program our water with our intention, our joy, and our humming. Um, and actually, there's been lots of studies on that. So ground for 30 minutes, create a joy field for a few minutes, and I might do a heart math exercise with you after Dr. Forbes if I get a chance, and also just humming. And just hum.
I'll
Like
break out in song now,
changes the field. Yes.
Dr.
Don't even try, because that song I made up just now.
Patty.
As a matter of fact, Dr. Patty, I remember reading a book. It was called Toning, probably 20, 30 years ago. And in that book, what they were recommending is that, let's say a person had some type of condition, that a person would get up very close, let's say, to the spinal cord, the spine or whatever it was, and just intone sounds. That was their healing method. So you might do that to to maybe a wrist that's been sprained, or an elbow area or whatever. I found it very interesting. The power, evidently, their claim was that it really helped a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the power of sound. In our clinic, we have been using sound therapy and sound bowls and frequency generators for quite some time, for for easily almost 20 years, and have really seen huge differences. I do think that it's important to realize, though, when you use devices for frequency, that plug into walls, and I know you're going to just about to talk about this, you're also being exposed to the AC current. And so it's like you've got these great things that you can do, and you also have to pay attention to how to use them and how to correct that AC current so that you can have um, really all the benefits and the upsides. So I am very excited to see what you're going to talk about. So I'm stopping the share right here. And uh,
And
I
Dr.
know I've turned it over to Will to
Yeah.
tell us what to do.
So Dr. Forbes, if you want to get your slides up, we
Okay.
actually, and kind of the theme, and I think it's so beautiful, Dr. Patty, that you ended on sound because, really in kind of our philosophy from an energetic space, it is, we hold the belief that, and Dr. Forbes maybe echoes, if you want to echo this sentiment, is that there is no such thing as bad energy. It's just whether that energy is working for you or against you, right? And how are we creating harmony in our fields, whether from humming or creating a joy field or grounding and tapping into the field that is innate and natural around us, are with what Dr. Forbes is going to share with us, really harnessing this magnificent art, which is Voss 2, and working with the geospatial alignment of the natural world to really allow frequencies to mesh with our own bioenergetic field. And so, Dr. Forbes, we are so excited. And I'm going to turn it over to you in regards to these tools and applications beyond, the basics that Dr. Patty shared, going into that harmonization of your field with, the other fields that may be in your home and around your home.
Well, I would like to start with a couple of controversial thoughts. And, and that
Yeah.
is sometimes we have an accepted foundation of what energy should look like, what it should be. And so we have that accepted foundation. And if we get above that, then we can go into some healing, feeling better, eliminating symptoms. But it's almost like this given foundation. When we start to question that, people are like, oh, no, oh, back over here. So we need to forget that. Back over here, we need some equipment with a square wave. So yours is rounded, we need square wave. But wait a minute, that equipment is in this foundational field. That the foundational field is a problem. Yeah, but don't worry about that. Let's get back over to here and let's start working on the nutrients. So you're vitamin C deficient, you're vitamin D deficient. Yeah, but I'm in this field that's creating these deficiencies. Just forget that. You see where I'm going with that. And so my first question would be when we tell people to sit and view the sunlight, let's say at the end of the day or first thing in the morning, the sunrise, my question would be, what sunlight is that? And so what do you mean what sunlight is that? So we have now more than ever in the last 10 years, we have overlapping energy fields. Before it was much harder for whoever you want to call them, the power elite, to extend these fields so far. Now with with many of the cell phone towers, it's almost like we have this worldwide antenna system that did not exist 20 years ago. Believe me, there was a lot of problems 20 years ago, but this has made it so much easier. So it's very difficult not to be in this foundational field. And isn't it nice that I call it foundational field? What I'd really like to call it is black magic. People are like, don't say that in your lecture. That makes it pseudoscientific. It is a form of contorted energetics that we've come to accept. So let's go back to that. What sunlight are you talking about in your backyard? So we know at the very basics that this distorted AC alternating current, it never does not occur in nature, never been seen before. Up until the invention of electricity. So you're going to be sitting in that electromagnetic field as the sunlight is coming to you. Does that distort the sunlight? Of course it does. And so, in many cases, but that's just one of those foundational fields that we've been given. What if we've got some like little cell phone sitting next to us that has not been remediated? What if we have some really bad ground energetics. In some cases, what I found is it's better for that patient not to be outside at all. Now, that's definitely not a long-term solution, but that's how bad their backyard is. So I remember I was on a trip with Dr. Marshall. This is probably about 12 years ago. We went to the Florida beaches. I'm like, oh, I can't wait, man. Fort Lauderdale, this is going to be the best of the best. And we went down to the beach. And we were sitting on the beach. I remember thinking to myself, this is absolutely terrible. Our hotel room is actually better than this beach. And I'll tell you why. There's what they call long range lays, LEYS. These are ley lines of and we're going to be doing an entire little presentation just on that because people always ask, what are ley lines? And so these are man-made constructions of directed flows of energetics, and they especially come in around the beaches. And so and there's other ways that they direct these. And if you're sitting in an area where that has that, you're being badly depolarized as you're enjoying the fresh air and the sunlight. So once again, my goal is to get back to these foundational energetics and see what we could do is basically to erase that, start out, we're going to give you our own foundation. And so, and I love your slides, and I actually love them. So much research that's been done on grounding. But once again, and I'm sure you would agree with this, my question would be, what grounding is that? So people are like, no, I put some kelp in my backyard. It's good to go. Really, that's it? So the energetic field of where you're walking, even in the sand along the beach, is so poor. It's so poor that once again, here's our foundation. We're like, hey, look, it made your cells a little brighter, a little better. But that's the foundation. What if we set ourselves to the true foundation? Then even the blood work where we have crenulation, we have the rouleau formations that look, the grounding took that away. Yeah, but who said that's where we want to go? It's you guys. It's not even close. Sparkling. And you actually can catch that on camera. There's a radiance to those cells that was not there before. So that's why, as you could see, I'm on fire. That would be the word, on fire, to help promote a lot of these Vastu tools, not because we invented them, because we've got to get rid of that foundation that we think is normal. So right now, unless you've remediated your computer, you have a flow of negative energy coming to you. It's very subtle, but yet it's damaging. And so another one of my contentions would be probably blue light. Is it the blue light or what is being done to the blue light? That blue light does not exist separately in time and space. It's on an electromagnetic flow of energy. And so where's that coming from? And like, as you mentioned, Dr. Patti, yeah, the AC current in the walls. That's why so many of these grounding devices don't work at all, because they're being distorted by that energy signature. But there's so many things that you could do to correct that. And so we want to get it. And I think Will said, you mentioned there's no such thing as bad energy. I would say there's a lot of bad energy, but the core of it is not bad. So do we think that a cell phone tower is good? Absolutely not. Absolutely not in its unremediated state. So if I could remediate that and get it back to take away the twists, the turns, the twerking, if I could get back to its quantum state, then that cell phone tower can be very beneficial. Unfortunately, that is rare at this point in time, right? So what I like to think is if we're all working together, because we can't do it alone. Dr. Patti, you and I will, no, there's not enough people right here to do it alone. What if we did this everywhere? It would be magnificent. So I think it's really exciting. As I said, I see people grounding, and then I see the research, and then go back and check the person. Well, how long did that last? How long did an upgrade in the meridians last? Maybe half an hour. And that's the other thing. It's almost like we need a new paradigm of how we're doing the testing. how we're doing the testing itself. So if we see there's a change in, let's say, these 3 parameters, but that's based on their foundational energetics, so we're like, oh, that's good. And as we were saying here, it is good. Anything's better than than this previously given baseline. It's good, but it's not going to last, because once again, this matrix that's all around us is in effect. So we need to eliminate the matrix, and we don't really need to eliminate it. We need to ground it so it's no longer actionable. And that being said, I'm going to jump into some of my slides here. So what sunlight, what what air, and what what grounding, what is the ground that you're on, and just pouring some kelp on there is still not going to be enough. So there's so much more that we can do, that we could be doing. Anyway, so I call it the magnificent art of an application of Vastu. It's magnificent because so much more is possible. And since I'm, our lawyer said we have to say this, so we have to tell you about our intellectual property rights notice. Basically, we've spent a lot of time and energy on this presentation, and so we have the exclusive right to it. However, that being said, if you would like to have the right to these slides or to present them, please contact your account manager, and we'd be glad to do that. So you would just have to sign a simple form, because we would love to get this information out there. And what we were saying is, where you spend most of your time during the day really matters. Are you in front of a computer? But that's not going to be good enough to remediate that. What about the walls of the room? What about the core energetics of the foundation of the building that you're on? Okay, that's still not good enough. It's still not good enough, because we get into the Vastu energetics of what are the incoming energies. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm not even sure if I should mention this, but I will say February 4th, which once a year around February 4th, is the Chinese New Year. And there is they call it, for them, it's the actual real start of the new year, not January 1st. And whether it's the start of a new year or not, it is definitely the start of new energetics. And what I found in the past is usually around, it could be February 5th. It's around February 4th. There's definitely a change in the energetics. It's almost like there's this giant clockwork mechanism in the earth that switched another notch. I do not know. All I know is the energetics drastically switch. And this is in every single building, every single office, every single continent, everywhere around this time period. And what I've noticed is it is chaos for 3 or 4 days. The energy swirling, and I think that's one reason why, even for the Chinese New Year, they do a lot of celebrations around this time, actually for 2 weeks after the change, and singing, dancing, giving presentations, and which I think is great. And I think part of it is to nullify these chaotic energetics. What I have noticed up until, so what's the date today? March 11th. So what I have noticed is this chaos has not stopped. This is very unusual. I haven't seen this before. So what that tells me is we all need to join together to stabilize the energetics much more. So as I'm sitting there out there on my back porch with these chaotic energies from the energetic change of the new year, or maybe I haven't addressed my AC current, maybe I haven't addressed my cell phone. You could see what we think of as reality, pulling our energy away from the energetics, to me, is a big mistake. Now, the cool thing is that we would like to have each one of you that are listening to our presentation aspire to develop your own energy eyes. When you do that, a whole new world will appear to you. What you think is normal reality, you can easily test and see, oh, I need to work on that. Oh, that needs to change. You yourself can directly test all the Vastu energetics. It's amazing. I have learned so much over the years. Life is too precious to spend it in poor energetics. So that being said, we'd like to invite you to discover, everyone listening to this, to discover the power of QRA, quantum research analysis. We have begun teaching our seminars. Dr. Spicer just finished a seminar. It's amazing, not only to get really good at the, we call it kinesiological testing, but then to use it everywhere, to use it on everything. Not only the energetics, but as Dr. Patti said, whatever's plugged into the wall, it's your lamp, it's your blender, whatever's plugged into the wall is emitting a flow of ions. Unfortunately, they're not to your advantage until you're mediated, of course. So we would like you to learn this technique, this kinesiological technique, not only for use with the body itself, testing different points in the body, but actually we can turn around from the body, turn around, and we can test the environment. So the power of Vastu, it literally determines how you feel, how you think, your creativity, your relationships, your longevity, your ability to achieve great things or not. So we could practice heart math, which I'm a big fan, but you're still in the evil field. So what you're doing is accelerating, to me, your thoughts, your emotions to withstand it better. And then we could track that, but you're only withstanding it. You're not actually creating a new platform. So we got to get to the new platform. So when you reside in poor Vastu, you can act against it, but it's still draining your life and your potential 24/7. I had a very interesting patient once in the past, and he came to me, to my office, and he said, I have chronic back pain, and I've been everywhere, nobody could help me. And I said, what do you do? And he said, I get up every morning and I go into this meditation and I see myself well, and I do my affirmations, and I could get rid of the pain. And so what happened, which I'm very grateful for, but what happens over time, as time goes on, the pain starts to come back. And he said, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of trying to do all these things that do work, but I'm just tired of it. I want the pain to just be gone. I don't want to have to work on it. And I found that a very interesting comment. And I think that's what we're doing. It may not be pain, but we're working on this environment that can never be fixed because the core energetics are still there. So that being said, what are a few things that we would like to take a look at? Anyway, I just saw this a few days ago. I thought this would be interesting to our listeners. This is a house tour that I happened to see online. As you could see, my little green square, I've blocked out the influencer. I don't want to comment on any particular personality, but this influencer calls this house his home where he's going to live to be 120 years old, and all the features, as you can see here, we see it's in a tropical environment. You can see out the windows there, we see nice lush foliage. But take a look. Do you see, just from this one photograph alone, do you see any Vastu defects? Oh my God, this is from a Vastu standpoint, from a 10 points, 10 is excellent, 5 is average, one is very poor, and then 0. This is a 0. The house where he's going to live to be 120 years old. And why is that? And there's several features. I'll just point out a few. First of all, we can see we have these big beams that are regular. These are very long. These are very short. So when you do that, it's going to create a lot of dimensional stress downwards, moving very fast. It's almost like poisoning you, hitting you in the head. Also, what we have here is a mirror with a geometric shape around it. Mirrors can only be put because it's an electrified field, can only be put on the north and the east walls. I'm guessing this is not a north or east wall because it tests so poorly. Also, we have here a completely open door. So from way back from Vastu and Feng Shui and energetics, front doors need to be solid to hold the energy, to resonate with the rest of the property. So not only that, we have a big cutout above it. Oh my gosh. So we went from really bad to really, really bad. And oh, let's go to really, really, really bad. We have a whole line of plate glass doors here. So what happens is when you have one cutout, in Vastu, this would be a missing door. And then in a whole nother row of missing doors, what happens, the energy comes in and it creates its own little vortex. And it's not even an equal vortex. The doors here are creating a stronger entrance to the doors on the other side that are rotating. So when you're sitting in this room, you're sitting in a vortex. No, you want to always be in calm energetics. So, and then without going into further ado here, here's a photo of I just took a still off of his video to the outside. You're like, look at that. That's heaven itself, is it not? Well, when you have Vastu eyes, what you realize is these mountains in the distance are pulsing really hard. And not only pulsing, but also shooting a lot of negative energy toward this house. That is absolutely terrible. So, and the other thing that we see here is we see a swimming pool. What would you say? What would you guess that is before this overhang starts, like 3 feet at the most, and to maybe to the house itself 5 or 6 feet? That's Vastu terrible, because what's going to happen with this pool, which is basically it's basically a big hole. So the ground is now, the energetics near the house are unstable. We want a house that all around it for 30 feet is relatively flat. So this one is a steep fall off, even though there's water in there, it's a steep fall off. So the energy of this house is being not only radiated from the mountains, but it's a big pull off into that water. Believe it or not, we could fix all of this. So that person can live in good energetics. Right now, they have moved to a tropical environment, trying to get away from the city energetics. That would be my guess. However, I think they might have moved to a worse place. As they're getting their sunlight and breathing their air, their body's being hit hard by really bad Vastu energetics. Okay, so that being said, harmonic resonant frequencies, because that's where it's all about, right? So you guys have of course have seen the 2 wine glasses, 2 crystal glasses, and maybe you just hit one with a fork, and the other one, it's a lot less, but it'll have a resonant frequency. And if you've never done that, it's very interesting. You put your ear very close to the other one, and you could hear a little. If it has to be high quality crystal, otherwise it won't work. But it's very interesting to do that. So guess what? The frequency of your front door is the same exact thing. Now, when I hit this glass here with a fork, so let's say it's an A. Let's say it's the sound is A, the note is A. Does the second glass have an A, or does it have a different sound? No, it's still A. It's not different. So the first glass that was struck determines what the sound, even though it's much less, that the second glass is going to resonate too. Perfect analogy for your front door. Your front door for many people is ruling your life. And that now I'm about to reveal one of my great discoveries to me. It's absolutely amazing. I'm sure the Vastu, the ancients in the past knew all about this. So your front door dominant frequency. So they knew all about this, but unfortunately, we're just finding out about it now. So your front door influences all the other doors. It itself is a resonant frequency. And so the front door is usually larger, a little bit larger, not always a little bit larger. And it's your entrance door. If it tests poorly, all the doors inside your house test poorly. That's amazing. And so if I fix my front door, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Simple as pie, should take you, if you really linger, maybe a minute and a half. That's if you really linger. It's amazing. So here's an example of a house. Here's the front door, and then you can see here's the inside of that front door. This is a very unfortunate front door because you could see it's been triangulated. There's like 3 different walls. It's been inset, which is even worse. And then to make matters worse, the area above it is also triangulated. So we have a really bad front door. So as I said, we could fix anything. We're the Vastu fixer-uppers. So we can make this not only test okay, we can make it test great. I'm going to show you how to do that. So most people don't have a front door this bad. Remember we said it should be solid. Oh my God, look at that. That's probably a third of that front door is glass. Oh, that's terrible. We do not like that. So when we go to dominant geometric frequencies, once again, we see this oval cutout. Now, listen to this, you guys. This is amazing. When I do that to the front door frequency, now notice down below, it says the second image here says bedroom door. Right where that oval cutout is will be the same bad frequencies in a bedroom door. In any door, not just the bedroom door, the exact same frequency. So the exact same dimension of that oval. So I could go to my kitchen door, and it doesn't even have to be a door. It could be an archway. So all the doorways in that house will test off exactly where that oval is, or whatever the frequency is. So, and how we don't even have to build out a house to determine this. We could just test this on a sheet of paper. So here, the first image you see here is the front door of this house with the oval. So the second image, I moved the oval down. It still tests terrible. So here's another one. Okay, let's use a rectangle. That still tests terrible. Let's move that one down. That doesn't work either. So before I ever build out a house, I could tell what the resonant frequency is going to be. Okay, and so here's an example of a front door here. I actually showed you back here this house. And so let's go back to the front door here. So you see, once again, this is Vastu Terrible squared. So not only do we have a cutout in this house, oh my gosh, we cut out all these areas around it. So what happens is, if I go to my bedroom door, the same frequencies are there. Let's say it's a solid door. But right where this is, because that's the dominant frequency, in my solid door, bedroom door, right exactly matching that is where it will test off. Not only that, because we have all these cutouts here around my bedroom door, even though it's a solid wall, will all test weak, exactly matching the front door. Here's another front door, exactly the same principle. So these 5 little squares, probably to try to look artistic or whatever, if I go to once again, my bedroom door, my kitchen door, another door in the house, those same exact areas will be depolarized. So not only that, so here we're showing the front door is influencing, in this case, a bedroom, in this case, a living room. So the lack of resonance here, which is, we call it shachi, resonating off, is going to influence that exact door and that exact door as well. But it gets worse. We don't want to leave it there. It gets worse. So that resonating frequency from the front door is going to also send spears of energy into the room. So whether it's the living room, the bedroom, the kitchen, it doesn't matter what it is. So enter the geodot. And the geodot to us is not because we were able to invent it, but because it actually works. So what is the geodot? It is actually a little metallic disc. We call it geospatial layered technology. There's layers in this disc compressed tightly together. And we could use this because we have everything that we need. We have our altered geometric flower of life, and we have the right contours. And would you like to know how long it took to come up with that? Years. And how do you do that? Once again, you just test it on paper long before you actually need to invent a metallic model of that. If it doesn't work on paper, it's definitely not going to work if you do something else to it. Okay, so the geodot is going to be used for a front door reset. It's going to be used for batteries, and it's going to be used for it could be used for other doorways, mirrors, or toilets. And so this is going to simplify everything. When I do my front door reset, I don't have to do any of the other doors. I don't even have to do the mirrors. The mirrors are very high electrical stress. But once again, when I put that door into good solid resonant frequency, then the doorways and the mirrors go into that frequency also. The toilets are water stress, so I'm going to use the geodot, but I can't get that to go into because it's not a structural feature; it's a water feature. Okay, so going back here to our front door, which we just showed you, what we noticed is inside the house, every doorway has hinges of some nature. And so that means the door is weighted to one side because the weight of that door, let's say it's 10 pounds, whatever the weight of that door is hanging on those hinges. So that means we have a lot of weight on this side. So what's going to happen is the weight of that door is going to shoot out vectors. But what if I changed my front door? We call it a little mini tower. Here's a little inset. You can see this is like a little mini, and then I'm going to weight it. So the weight of those energetics is going to make it shoot out, but we don't want that. So what are we going to do? Remember, you want to get your front door absolutely right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the hinges. And so I'm pointing to the hinges right here with my yellow arrow. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it's going to be a stack of the geodots. A stack just means two of them, one on top of the other. And I'm going to do every single hinge. This door happens to have 4 hinges, which is a little bit more unusual. I'd say the average door has 3. So you're going to need 3 stacks. That's it to do all the other doors in your house. So actually, that's not it. We do need to do 2 other things. So I call it anoint the mantle. And it's extremely important. When I didn't do that, all the doors went into resonance except for the upper part of the door. So when I used this is once again another geodot. This one is a single geodot that we're placing I call it the mantle. It's like the upper border of this door. Done. Yeah, just put it up there. So it's bringing that into resonance. Now the glass cutout is serious. So what I've done is put single geodots spaced around that cutout until it goes into resonance. Okay, so once again, here is a close-up of my geodot right next to my hinge. And I just wanted to show this. This is really important. Don't put it touching or really close. Give me about 1/4 of an inch. This one will not work. If you do this to your front door, you're like, it didn't work. Yeah, because you didn't do the hinges. You got the hinges a little bit too close. I also don't want them too far out either. So once again, that's a pretty good spacing right there. Okay, and then here we are, we're anointing the mantle. So we have the geodot at the upper center. And by the way, what this is here is in Texas, it's now hitting 100-degree temperatures on a regular basis. So this is some nice insulation to try to cut, because of this glass cutout, to try to cut back on some of the heat. So here you can see the geodots that are, it's a little bit hard to see here, the geodots that are all around this cutout. If you don't do your front door properly, oh my gosh, here's all the doors. You're gonna have to deal with every single door. No, we don't want to do that. We want to do it the right way. And to me, when I discovered this, I had to check this on several houses, like about 5 times. I just couldn't believe it. It's like, how can the front door be that powerful? And it is. It's I say here, it's almost too good to be true. So when you do the front door reset, it's like you reset the energetics in your house. Okay, now what about the mirrors? The mirrors, the mirrors anywhere you go are a highly electrified highly electrified stress. So when you do the front door reset, all of this, the mirrors are no longer needed. I also didn't mention, which is I should have mentioned, is the front door reset is based on the circuit reset, the circuit box reset. So circuit box reset first, and then the front door reset. So just to quickly go through this, and then also with the mirrors, I'm done. If I did my circuit box and my front door, I don't need to do the mirrors. So I'm saving myself a lot of these discs. If for some reason you could not do your front door, I only had one person, actually in my neighborhood, very lovely, lovely. She's one of my friends. I really love her to pieces. Some people don't understand bioenergetics, and believe it or not, her husband would not let her put discs on her front door. I couldn't believe it. It's like, why? They're so small. They actually look good. Nope. So that's unusual. But hey, if that happens, you're going to need to do all your other front doors. In her case, it's probably she's only going to probably do her bedroom doorway because she might not have access to anything else. Got to keep the husband happy, right? What I would like to do is to demonstrate to him how important it is to do this. Maybe if we can slowly help to change the minds. Anyway, so going to the toilets are damp chi. We've explained this in a lot of our seminars. This is basically standing water. That's a really bad idea. And we pointed out how that standing water, these are long wave infrared, not to your advantage. It goes everywhere to the adjoining areas. What's near your toilet? Is your bedroom, maybe another bedroom to the side, even as far as the living room. So 30 feet out, you're going to get this damp chi. The simple, easy solution is the geodot. We found it, however, it's very, very persnickety. I call it the touchdown. Touchdown is where you put your two hands up like this. So if you see on our little geodot, there's two sides that kind of like the touchdown, they're standing up. They need to be standing up. If you put that geodot sideways, it works some, but not 100%. So let me see. I'm going to go back for just a second. So here's what I'm talking about. Can you see these two sidelines here? That needs to be straight up. Okay. So we're going to go back to, and then we talked about fireplaces. Fireplaces are basically a big cutout in the wall. And to make matters worse, it's heavily, usually there's a lot of heavy weight on it. And look at this nice big, oh my gosh, they put a nice big, what would you call that? Joist in there. So once again, we're going to have, a lot of the downward energetics, and all of this weight is going to make the energetics coming out from where the fireplace is shoot really hard and fast. Definitely not something you'd want to be sitting in front of. However, very easy to remediate. Here's a smaller fireplace. We're going to use a geodot at each corner. So let's see, that took me 0.35 seconds. No, actually took a whole 3 seconds to put those up there. In other words, very easy to do. So the geodots are the way to go. We've also talked about the use of the batteries with the geodot, and all batteries have a very fast spinning vertical spin. And it spins way out into the room. It's not just where it is. So if you have anything that's battery operated, maybe it's a clock on your shelf, maybe it's a remote control, they're spinning out into the room, let alone if you're holding the remote control, it's spinning out into you. One of our favorite demos is to just put a battery. It's not even attached to anything. Just put it in your hand and put it in your hand for approximately 2 seconds and take it out. And what you find, that contact just for that short period of time as you polarized your hand down into your forearm. Oh my God. So what that means is things that we consider to be pretty benign are nothing of the kind. They have their very poor energetics. Here's an example of that. This is a wall clock with a battery. And so that battery, the battery energetics are spinning into the wall. It's actually depolarizing this whole wall. Oh no, that's not good. So simple. We're just turning on the back of the clock. We're just putting a little geodot ground, not only two things, there's a coil, but also the battery. So we're just putting in the center, and you could see that. And then we like to go through showing you, look at that, there's a coil on your wall. That is not a good idea. We're showing the coil itself is spinning, not the battery is actually powering the coil to spin. Oh, this is terrible. So once again, we're just putting our little geo down in there. And then what happens is this clock now becomes a remediation element. So this wall, which you can't see right here, is very near that front door. So it's very poor energetics. The front door is kind of in this triangular space. So by putting the clock here, it actually helps it's almost like to extend that wall outward. So that's pretty cool. And then there's a lot of other devices. So flashlight, remote control that you could put use the little geo dots. So the difference is the geo dot is for non-electrical. So that would be a wall, your front door, it would be maybe a battery. The geosync is for electrical. So that's how you can kind of tell them apart. Once again, this is our master biogrounding disc. We are in love with geosyncs. We think they're fantastic. And in a way, when you think about it, this truncated boat shape is very much a part of its energetics. It's not just an elongated shape. So as a rule for electrically operated items, computer, it could also be for other anything associated with the computer, the screen, the mouse, the speakers, but also other types of electrical equipment, and in particular your circuit box. Okay, so actually, Will, this should be my first slide, because if there's one thing that you did and you did nothing else, it would be your circuit box. But why stop there? We could just keep on going. So the circuit box is absolutely terrible. It's depolarizing all the walls in every room in your house. So what are we going to do about that? We're going to place what we call a geo stack, and that's two of these geo sinks, one on top of the other. One will not work. It needs to be a stack. And so we're just showing an average circuit box. We've got the door open here, and we're going to put it about 1.5 inches down from the top. This one shows there's like a little bolt in the place. No problem. We'll just put it underneath that. We also are going to put our geo stack on our smart meter. Dr. Patti showed some stunning photos, absolutely stunning evidence of what an unremediated smart meter does to your physiology. So that is not viable. We do not want to do that. And then moving on to, we're going through these really fast. In our other seminars, we go through every little thing here. So we're going to do the circuit box reset. Then we're going to use the geosinks for other electrical items. Then we're going to use the liquid tech for our cords. So getting back to the computer, I do have to point this out because it's very interesting. It's not just stressing you. This is where AC current becomes very mysterious. So the red arrows are where there's a mild but continuous negative current coming to you from an unremediated computer screen. But notice the black lines. It's also pulling your energy off. It's harvesting your energy. As I said, that's a very mysterious. You can actually test that using Vastu testing to prove that to yourself. So the answer is absolutely not. I don't want either flow, inwards or outwards. The answer is no. No, we're stopping that right now. So we're going to bioground everything connected with that computer. So the hard drive, the screen, the mouse, the keyboard, and we'll just show you some of the prominent ones here. So the computer, it's very simple. Just look for the on-off button. So this is our hard drive. I'm showing you the back of the hard drive here. We're just going to put a single disk. We only need the doubles for the circuit box. A single disk right next to the on-off button. And then what happens? That destructive, and it is a destructive cloud of shooting nasty vectors, is now gone. So people think, oh, I just get tired every day. Do you actually get tired, or is your field being stressed by negative energetics? And I think it's the latter. Here's an update, and that is previously what we asked you to put this is a computer screen right in the back here on the left. We asked you to put the geosync right in the middle. No, it works even better if you put it to the side where your on-off button is. where what your power button is. And so here we are. We're showing the keyboard kind of angled at the side. We're going to put one right where the incoming cord is, and then your mouse. When I asked at the last seminar, our last Vastu seminar, I said, how many people here, there's one side of your body that feels weaker than the other? Everybody raised their hand. And I said, okay, for the people that raised your hand, of those of you that are right-handed, which side is it your right hand? Is it the right side of your body that feels weaker? They don't raise their hand. Okay, for those of you people that are left-handed, how many for those of you, how many of you is your left side of the body weaker? And they all raise their hand. And so right here, I should probably have about 3 red circles around this mouse. You're in direct contact. Direct contact is worse than a cloud of, of these ions coming toward you. They're both bad, but direct contact is the worst. So when you're resting your hand on your mouse, you're literally being depolarized right up to your arm, right up to your neck, right up into your head. So now this is a compromise, you guys. This disc doesn't exactly fit well on the mouse. It's not bad, but if you put it right here, as you cradle your hand around the rest of the mouth, it's out of your way. So it works really well. So please be sure to do your mouse. Okay, and then we're grounding the Wi-Fi once again near the on-off button. Here we are with the thermostat, the surge protector. Here's the on-off button. Right there you go, right next to the on-off button. Here's the home security. There's our little guy there. Here is our cable box reset. Once again, we're very near the. Let's see, this is the power. There's no on-off button. Here's the power. There's some bolts here, some screws. We can't get to it. So we're putting it as close as we can. Works great. So here's the cable box, and we're showing the back of the cable box. Okay, here's another update, and that is what I noticed in a lot of cars. It was like, maybe not a lot, but several cars, it's like, wow, our geosync isn't working as well as I would thought. And what I'm seeing is we told people to put it near the front, on their dashboard somewhere. And what we're seeing is maybe due to the materials in the dashboard, maybe the type of metals, it's not working as well. So what we're saying now is, which works really well, is put it on your steering column on the side. Maybe not, the top would work, but if for some reason, if it became dislodged, I don't want it to go back into wherever that area is at the back of the steering column. So you're going to put it on the side of the steering column, which once again is direct energetics, direct electricity coming into that car. Works great. Okay, and now another wonderful update. I hope I'm not taking up too much time here, is 4-point grounding. I am absolutely thrilled. Can you tell I'm thrilled? I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to tell you about this because it converts your cords into superpower. Okay, so what does that mean, 4-point grounding? So we're taking our Liquid Tech. This is our copper metallic paint. And what we're doing is 4-point grounding. So here's our plug, and every plug, the plug itself has 4 sides. One side a little longer, and then the opposite side's a little shorter. And the simple, easy thing that you're doing is you're putting a little dot, not very much. You could use more if you want, but you're just using up your Liquid Tech for no reason at all. You can only see 2 sides here, but I'm gonna put it on all 4 sides. When we did that, it's amazing. It's like you turn an ordinary lamp into a healing device. I'm not kidding. So once again, here's the lamp that under normal circumstances, when you plug it in, as Dr. Pati pointed out, you're getting an ionic flow off that lamp, and it is not to your benefit. So what we were doing previously, which I don't need to go into, is we were grounding right below the cord, which is excellent, no problem at all. But let's up that a little bit. Let's back up and do the cord, the plug itself, once again with all four sides. Now what happens when I do that is I get this beautiful flow off of that lamp. Okay, and the cell phones, it's going to be the same thing. There's no actual plug, if you want to call it that. But what I am going to do, I've kind of circled it for you here. I want to do 4 points. So even though it's pretty tiny, you can see 2 points here in this middle picture. But I want to do the other two also. So you're just going to do that as well. There is a plug-in right here. So I'm going to do this one. You can kind of see a little bit I did on the side. You're going to do all 4 sides. Wow, does that work great? Now, I can't promise this, but what I noticed is when I did this, my cell phone charged really fast, which is usually it's pretty slow. Also, you could use this for any type of physical therapy equipment. This is a Chinese acupuncture modality where you have different, different wavelengths, etc. And so what we're going to do, once again, this is battery. This can be battery operated, or this you can see it plugs into the wall. So I've got a close up here of the plug. As you can see, there's no real plug. So what I'm going to do is right at the base of these hatch marks. That's where, I don't know, you can't see it very well, but I'm going to do my grounding right at the base of those hash marks. Okay, now you want to be sure to do both ends. This end sticks into the device, it inserts into the device itself. So once again, you can see the hash marks, and then you could see what kind of functions as the plug. I want to do all 4 sides of that. When I do that, oh my gosh, I have a brand new device, never seen before. I call it scintillating. Am I patting myself on the back too hard? Actually, this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful discovery. The QDIS 6.0, many of you have already learned about that. So for all types of cell phones, we're very proud that it's ultra thin because before, in years past, it was very clunky. And so, hey, we've got it down, we've got it very compressed, so it fits very well on your cell phone or under a cell phone cover. Don't put it on the cover, put it under the cover. In most cases, I haven't seen, you might have to squish it down a little bit, but it fits pretty well. Okay, so it features once again our proprietary patented flower of life design. We patented it because we want to take this far. We would really like to promote this, around the world if we could. So placement of this Q6, very simple, just the middle of your phone. If you've got an iPad, did you know the iPad, the entire thing is one big battery? That's another reason why the entire backing of that is, I'm not sure why that is, but so you're getting a lot of RF frequency, you're getting a lot of battery frequency. So we, to completely remediate that, unfortunately, we have to use 2 of them. And then Dr. Patti presented a lot of research, which I won't go into right now. It's well known, the detrimental effects of cell phones. It's well known, or iPads or associated. You could read, you could read National Toxicology Program. You could read much of their research. 41 nations, international scientists appeal, recommending don't do it, don't do it. What did we do? We do it anyway. We use it anyway. The Bioinitiative report in 2012, 2,000 papers. I think Nick was just telling me, Nick is our CEO, he was just telling me yesterday that we have a practitioner, oh, don't be too concerned about the electromagnetic stress. Let's really focus on the nutrients. And so I'd like him to read those 2,000 papers and the absolute total need for addressing your circuit box, your smart meter, and the internal bioenergetics of your home. Okay, I believe it was Dr. Patti pointed this out in one of her previous presentations. Wireless radiation is a class 2B carcinogen. Carcinogen. Wait, I thought this is just, you can't even see it. Really, it's a carcinogen? Yep, let's read the research. And so smart meter health complaints, another one of Dr. Patti's slides that she talked about. And so I thought this would be interesting very briefly to go through this. This is where this Ravastu testing is very interesting. We had one of our practitioners come over with his daughter. He's from out of state. And it was very interesting because as we tested her both sides of her ears, and one side of her ear was already off. I said, is that the side that uses your cell phone? Oh, yes, it is. So we have a way, which you'll learn if you ever take a QRA class, of how you can you temporarily have that come on. Then what we did is we put the cell phone to the ear just for a few seconds and took it away. What we found is not only did that ear go off again, so did the other one. Okay, so what happens if you keep that cell phone up there? Because very few people have a 1 second conversation, right? Okay, so what we found is within seconds, seconds being defined as 10 to 15 seconds, the hand becomes depolarized. Here we have a big red blob on the hand, the ear itself, the temporal area, the pituitary, and that side of the neck. So what does that mean? If I took that cell phone away immediately, your body's going to have to recruit more of its internal energetics to get back to stability, to get back to equalization, right? Equilibrium, I should say. So as it continues, it goes further. Now her thyroid went off. I mean, you could see the great need for this. And so I love that Dr. Patti showing the slides where you're actually showing the altering of the brain. It's the brain tissue itself. It's almost like the brain tissue is hardening. So with this in place, once again, we're taking that pure energy that's been badly distorted and grounding it, evening it, what would you say, evening out its frequencies. So now talking on the cell phone is actually fine. The same exact thing, two different states, same thing, two different states. So we love our quantum energetics. What Dr. Marshall used to say, if you have a problem and you can't figure out what to do, you're going to have to get the solution at a higher level than the origin of the original problem. So you know, for all of those of you listening, many people are waiting for you. They're waiting for you to take them on their Vastu journey to their own quantum prosperity and wellness. Are you ready? So our ending thought here would be, make your life your masterpiece. Don't let anything hold you back. So I want to see you at the next QRA seminar.
Bravo, Dr. Forbes. I just have to say it always
Amazing.
makes me so excited. I mean, this is such an easy, accessible solution. I mean, just like Dr. Patty's more conscious, choices to start, grounding back into harmony. These are tools that work in the background all the time once they're applied. That's kind of the beauty of these tools is once they're fixed in place, they're working for you all the time and allowing you to be in harmony, which I think is really powerful because then you add on top the intentional actions that Dr. Patti, outlined, and it's this beautiful, just full kind of system. And there's Dr. Patti's. Is that your granddaughter?
Yes. She's been sneaking around
Oh.
under my feet the whole time, and she finally popped up.
Well, hello to you. Hello to you. Can she see us?
Hello. Shout out. Are you going to say hello?
Hello.
Oh,
Um,
guest appearance tonight.
yes, we had a guest appearance from the granddaughter, and I think that one thing that I was talking to Will about earlier is that we actually made protocols for correcting the bioenergetics around the cell phone and the door and all of that in 2020. And this would be a really good time for us to update those protocols. So it's just the protocols like door, whatever, mirror, clock, whatever. And so Will and I are going to get on that project and then
Wonderful.
and
Absolutely wonderful.
probably need some of your diagrams and stuff, but I think that will make it easy for people to take this presentation and put it straight into practice. I'm very excited because I just purchased a new home in Costa Rica, and that home that you showed was in Costa Rica.
Hmm.
It is very because it's a Costa Rican
You,
design. The slant on the roof is a common Costa Rican design. It's on every house pretty much. And I do think that people believe that if they move to a longevity zone, they're going to live to 120 years because that's if you look around, that's what people are living for, even with the slanted roof. But I think the thing is that we take our Western and modern lives into these places, and that is the computer and the cell phone and everything else. And also our houses are designed in a bigger way with many more windows and many more portals for things to disappear energetically. So it's kind of interesting. I think it's the unknown when people study the blue zone and talk about the diet and the nutrition and all that. I've noticed that it really has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the energetics. It has to do with the energetics of the heart field, of the joy field. You're going to live way longer, drinking your alcohol and smoking your cigarettes, and being happy than you are eating your celery sticks and being pathetic. So I found that energetics make such a difference, and I am so looking forward to taking what I just learned today and applying it to that front door and all of those sloped ceilings and stuff.
Dr. Patty, one thing that I hope that I inspire you to do is right there in Costa Rica. By the way, you're right. That place was in Costa Rica. Very good. One thing I'd like to inspire you to do is to remediate those mountains, because even if you have perfect house, like it's nice rectangular, there's not big, huge cutouts, et cetera, you will still be overwhelmed by the hills, the
Yes,
mountain energetics.
yes,
It won't matter at all. It won't, it's the
yes.
weight and
Well,
the
I'm
force
kind
of
of
its
on the top.
frequencies will overcome you.
I'm on the top of the mountain. But the thing is that the builder that's building my house is building thousands of houses. And um, I actually teased him with the knowledge that I was going to learn all the latest and greatest about the Vastu. So he's like all excited to put the discs. I showed him some of it. So, and to learn how to correct the weird structures and even the mountains. Like I happen to be on the peak, so that's a different kind of correction probably than being with mountains in the distance. But I've got like I'm on the peak and then I have an ocean in front of me, so I'm gonna need your help. I'm gonna have to figure it out. But I think that more importantly, to apply it to a wider audience, it's important to have the protocol so that they know exactly what to do. And
Being on a peak or not is not the criteria, just so you know. So it's which peak and which mountain. And that seems to me, this is just a wild
which
guess. Yeah, it's just a wild guess that a lot of these have been put in place from ancient times. It's nothing new. And so when you get that rapid pulsing of the mountain, and then it's almost like wham, 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 and then it hits and then spreads, hits and spreads fast. And so what you see is, energetically speaking, it's almost like a control of dampening down everybody's energy, in addition to the cell phone towers and everything else. So I always like to say that we have an incredible state of beingness that we have never even come close to experiencing, not even close. And so I'm hoping that on that peak, that you could, it's very easy actually to ground it. But once again, this gets into our mini boulders and some of our black tourmaline that we haven't released yet. And it would be wonderful. If you did that, Dr. Patty, you would bless your entire surrounding area, because
I'm
there's
gonna
something
do
that
it.
is
I'm gonna
growing.
do it on mine and all the other 300 lots that are making houses. We're gonna put this
Absolutely
system into
wonderful.
all of them because it's
Wonderful.
gonna be amazing to see. So instead of living above 100 years like the people in the blue zones, we'll be living to 200 maybe. Who knows?
And why not? What holds you back? Right? What holds you back? It's knowledge.
Boredom.
No.
Boredom. Once I get bored, it's done, right?
You will never be bored. I'm going to come over there and bother you all the time. We could do so many projects over there. That would be fun.
Yes, it is an important thing to do. So thank you so much. I really appreciate being part of this.
Yes,
And
thank you so much. We really appreciate you being on our webinar as well.
Yeah, I just want to
Yes.
say it's been an honor to have you both here, and I think we need to have more of these micro conversations come on and just y'all just talk about what is the potential of this field that we all live in and each individual's person's field when they're in harmony. So, thank you both for being stewards, and Dr. Forbes, thank you for all your research that you're doing. I know you are tirelessly innovating on all things bioenergetic, and it's always just so exciting to hear your revelations and hear how they can be applied to really change, the prospect of people that are needing help right now. And so, with that all being said, Dr. Patti, did you want to close us off actually maybe with a brief joy field meditation, kind of to inspire us as we head back into
Sure.
our lives?
I'd like to share that video then if we want to
Yeah,
do that.
that would be perfect.
Uh,
Perfect.
so, yeah, go ahead, because I have to do something. Okay, so I just have to share my screen, but the other screen is still shared. So maybe, Will, if you stop
Oh,
sharing that screen,
oh,
I
yeah.
can share the
I got that.
other one. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, I think this is going to work now. So I want you to just imagine yourself in a place that connects you to your soul, your heart, and brings a smile onto your heart. And if you could just close your eyes and imagine that I've just converted the whole energetics of this internet to something very beneficial for you. Breathe in and out consciously. And then imagine the air flowing freely into your heart and out of your heart. Your life-giving breath flowing into your heart, out of your heart. As you inhale and exhale. Feel yourself virtually in this space of the beach. Feel the sun warming your skin, the colors in the air, the breeze on your skin and in your hair, the taste of salt on your tongue, the sounds of the waves lapping on the shore. Keep yourself in this space as you breathe in, inhale, and exhale. And know that you have created a beautiful transformation to a place of a coherent heart rhythm, where every cell and atom and space between every atom is receiving the frequency and the beat of your heart. The most powerful transforming energy that you have within your control, anywhere, anytime. Open your eyes. Bring yourself back. Keep it with you.
It just, I think it's so beautiful how we can all create our own little oases wherever we are in the world. And thank you, Dr. Patti, for sharing.
Whenever, wherever, exactly.
Whenever. I know Dr.
Well,
Patti,
that was beautiful, Dr. Patty. Thank you.
I know Dr. Patti, you have a Take My Power Back initiative, and I wanted to maybe spend just a quick, brief second, how people can get involved and follow you along and sharing your insights, because it's truly an amazing platform that you're getting involved into. And I know for those that, maybe want to hear more about it, we just released a podcast that Dr. Patti and I did our conversation Dr. Pat and I did right after our quantum summit this past year. And so, but if you want to introduce that and how people can follow along and get involved, I'd love to give you some time on that.
Okay, I'll give you the sort of a short synopsis. But after practicing medicine for about 25 years and teaching thousands of doctors to practice integrative medicine and optimize the body to heal itself, I realized that it was really important to teach people to heal themselves and to take advantage of the tools that would put them in the driver's seat for their own health. So at that point, I shifted my attention from teaching necessarily the physicians to teaching and educating the public about how to get in the driver's seat for your own health using tips and tools that will turn on your own innate self-healing and can help you heal without necessarily a physician or a healthcare practitioner involved. So I launched that as an Instagram initiative, and it's called Take My Power Back _initiative. And on this channel, we share all the good tips and tools, the daily habits, and some of the things that have empowered a lot of people to reverse their conditions at almost a rate of 85%. So that's what we share there. We share protocols. I will most definitely be sharing the protocol for bioenergetic correction on that channel. So once we get our act together and create it. But thank you. Yeah. So it's called Take My Power Back _initiative. It's on Instagram. And if you follow it, you will hear a lot of information about getting naked, getting in the sun, and rolling in the mud.
Great. It's about time, right? Wonderful.
And for those that are listening in, I did want to just announce that for the next week. So I know we're airing this after we recorded this, but we're going to be the live airing of this will happen on a Friday. And if you've been moved and you're like, okay, I need to now take action to address these EMFs in my home, we are going to be doing a Stay Alive bundle, as Dr. Forbes so graciously coined it, where we have a 10% off incentive for both the Q-Disc and the GeoSyncs. That's 2 packs of those GeoSyncs, so that will be going live for the next week. And then we have our Stay Alive and Thrive bundle, which I love the Thrive edition, where it'll actually be 20% off. And in that bundle, you'll get a Q-Disc, 3 packs of the GeoSyncs, 2 packs of the dots, a bottle of that lovely Liquitech, and some mini boulders to actually bury by each side of that front door, as Dr. Forbes addressed. So we're going to have those bundles live, really empowering you to take charge of your health, do some remediation work on your own home as a practitioner, and then empower your clients to do the same, because you got to address yourself first before you can address others and support others on their healing journey, right, Dr. Patty? Right, Dr. Forbes?
Yes.
Or
So
maybe it's more like an ongoing simultaneous progress, right?
right, it's true. We're all moving through it together, right?
We're all moving
in
through it
together.
together, right?
So with that being said, Dr. Patty, Dr. Forbes,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. Yes, both of you too. Thank you.
And I look forward to being back with you all soon. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Be
Take care.
blessed.
Thank
Um,
you.
take care.
Bye, everyone.